Hey guys, welcome. Our test, quiz, whatever you want to call it, is on Friday. So this is a quiz review. And if you really take good notes on this, you'll notice the quiz review video right here is going to be very similar to the quiz. Alright, the first part, prime factor. That means we're going to factor these all the way down to prime numbers. Okay, so numbers that go into this, and we go all the way down till we hit prime. And that's prime factorization. So here we go, 18. This is going to be, one way we can do this is 2 multiplied by 9. 2 is a prime number, can't break it down. Again, prime just means it can only multiply by 1 and itself. 9 can continue to break down as 3 and 3, but these are also prime. So my prime factorization is 2 times 3 times 3. 54. Breaking this one down, this is 6 multiplied by 9. The 6 can break down to 2 and 3. These are both prime. And the 9 is going to break down to 3 and 3, which are both also prime. I end up with 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 as my prime factorization. Again, my only numbers that I can write down are going to be prime numbers. And if I had a calculator, I can multiply these numbers together, and I'd get 18, and this one I'd get 54. The next thing you're going to see on your quiz is finding the greatest common factor between two terms. Let's start here. Just by looking at it, I'm guessing it's 2, but I don't know for sure. Okay? And the reason why I don't want to just say 2 is because what if I made a mistake? I'm going to actually go ahead and see if I can figure out another way to do this. I'm going to use my factors. 4 times 10, this is 2 times 2, and this is 2 times 5. So I'm actually doing prime factorization again. Over here I'm going to break this down, 2, and that's going to be 26, 2 and 13, and those are my prime factors. Okay. Now, what prime factors do they have in common? Well, I have a 2 matched with a 2, and I also have a 2 right here matched with another 2. Okay, so if I do 2 multiplied by 2, I would get my GCF. It's my greatest common factor, which is 4. Okay, so 4 is my GCF here between the two, because I'm looking at my common prime factors. I had they both had 2 2's, and 2 times 2 is 4, so there's my GCF. Okay, this next one might be a little easier, 17 and 28. Okay, well 17 is actually a prime number, and 28 we could divide that by 2 and get 14, but these don't have any common factors, so these both are what we call relatively prime. But we look at the variable and we see that we have an x and an x squared, so I know that my GCF is actually just x. Okay, so the coefficients were relatively prime, but the variables shared something in common. Alright, this one's a factor completely. So this is the third thing I'm going to ask you to do on the test. And that's the factor completely. So we got to look for a couple things. Okay, one, I got to look for anything that I can pull out in the coefficients. So I got 24, 36, and 12. I'm thinking 12 is my GCF. Next, look at the variable. I got x to the third, x squared, v, x, and v squared. Well, v shows up in 2 of them, x shows up in all of them, and x shows up once. So I got my GCF, and now I'm going to go ahead and factor it out. So I'm going to divide everything by 12x, 12x, and 12x. Okay, 12x over underneath 24x to the third. Well, 24 divided by 12 is going to give me 2. X to the first, I'm going to subtract that from x to the third. That's going to be x squared. 12 goes into 36 3 times. And we have x squared and x. That's going to become x to the first power. And the v has no one to cancel with, so the v is standing alone. And we have minus 12 divided by 12. That's going to be a minus 1. The x's are going to cancel with each other, and I'm going to be left with v squared. So this is what we mean by completely factored. I found the GCF, and I factor the GCF out of the problem. Alright, this is a factor by grouping. When we have 4 terms, we want to go ahead and factor by grouping. So I'm going to group these into two groups, and I'm going to look at this and take the GCF out. I got 8 and 12. It appears 4, I think, is going to go into both of these. Okay, and then it looks like y squared can come out. So divide both of these by 4y squared. This is going to be 8 divided by 4 is 2. Y to the third y squared is y. And that's going to be negative 3. And there is no y. This next one looks like I can probably pull out a 3. So I'm going to pull out a positive 3. Divide everything by 3. This is going to become 2y, which this is looking good, minus 3. And then everyone's favorite saying, they look at the same. Okay, if they look at the same, we write them once together. And then what we're left over with, we create a second binomial. So 4y squared plus 3 is our second binomial, and there is our final answer. Alright, here's our very last problem here. And we're going to factor by grouping. Boom, 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 and boom. Here we can pull out a 2, m to the third. Nice. This is going to be left over with, once I divide everything out, 3 takes away from the 4, so I'm left with 1m. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I just get m. And then 4 comes into 2 twice. And m to the third, that cancels, so I get m plus 2. So when I pull out of here, I want m plus 2. Notice they're both negatives. So I should probably pull out a negative 1. And it looks like I can also pull out an m. So I'm going to divide by negative m on both of these. That's going to make that a positive m. And this is going to make that a positive 2 left over. And I get to say my favorite saying here. They look at the same. They look at the same. Okay, so let's say look at the same. We get m plus 2. Okay, on the next grouping, what we have left is 2m to the third minus m. Okay, I don't have to write 1m. And this is the correct answer, right? Boom. Okay. But wait, there's a problem. This isn't fully factored. Okay, if I look at m plus 2, there's nothing I can pull out. So this one's good. m plus 2, we're chill. Over here, I could probably still pull an m out from both of these. So this is not cool yet. I gotta still pull an m out. Then I'm left with 2m squared minus 1. This one was fine, m plus 2. But this is my actual answer. This is fully factored. So sometimes we take it down by factor by grouping. We got double checked our binomial. So we got to double check these guys to make sure that they are actually fully factored. Okay, and they are in this case, so we pull the m out, so we get it fully factored. Alright guys, prepare for the quiz. We'll see you tomorrow.